pleasant good morning to all. My group member and I will now be presenting on biodiversity. So the purpose of this documentary is to bring awareness about the loss of biodiversity and its cause, meaning both man-induced and natural. Also the repercussions, suggestions for the future actions, and global actions. Now, when we speak about biodiversity, we say that initially the loss of biodiversity could be defined as extinction of species. Right, so biodiversity loss disrupts ecosystem functioning, making them more vulnerable to perturbations and less capable of providing needed services to humans. Now move on to some key definitions. So the term biodiversity is combined biological and diversity, which basically refers to all forms of life on Earth, plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms, as well as the communities they form and the habitats in which they live. The next definition would be species diversity, which is a number of different species in the biosphere. We then have the ecosystem, a complex system of plants, animals, fungi, and microorganism communities interacting as an ecological unit. I will now touch on the causes to the loss of biodiversity. And under causes, we have natural causes and man-induced, as mentioned before. So the main cause of biodiversity loss can be attributed to human influence on the world's ecosystem. Here I have listed some points as follows. So our first point is the alteration and loss of habitats. Next point, introduction of exotic species and genetically modified organisms, pollution, climate change, and overexploitation of resources. I will now begin with my first point of alteration and loss of habitat. So this is basically the transformation of the natural areas, which determines not only the loss of vegetation or vegetable species, but also a decrease in the animal species associated to them. Next point is the introduction of exotic species and genetically modified organisms. This is basically species originating from a particular area into a new natural environment, which can lead to different forms of imbalance in the ecological equilibrium. I then move on to pollution, where we have human activity influencing the natural environment, producing negative, direct or indirect effects that alter the flow of energy, the chemical and the physical constitutions of the environment, and the abundance of the species. So next point is our climate change, and I will lead by with some examples. So for example, heating of the Earth's surface would definitely affect biodiversity because it engages all the species that adapt to the cold due to the latitude, meaning the polar species, and the altitude, meaning the mountain species. I would finish the causes, by the main point, which is overexploitation of resources. So when the activity is connected with capturing and harvesting, meaning hunting, fishing, farming, a renewable natural resource in a particular area is excessively intense. So the resource itself may be exhausted. So as for example, as you know, in Trinidad, we have hunting and we have hunting season. So there would be a period where it would be open or where it would be closed. The period where it's closed is for the the organisms to reproduce, but so many hunters would not give these organisms a chance to reproduce, and they would kill or hunt them in that period of time. I will now touch on the repercussions of biodiversity loss. So biodiversity loss can have significant direct human health impacts if the ecosystem services are no longer adequate to meet social needs. This basically means that human health ultimately depends upon the ecosystem, products, and services such as the availability of fresh water, food, and fuel sources, which is required for human health and productive livelihoods, right? So my next point is the loss in biodiversity may limit discovery of potential treatments for many diseases and health problems. And that is true because significant medical and pharmaceuticals are made through great understanding of the Earth's biodiversity. So basically, what I'm saying is that we do need biodiversity, right? To have a proper health system, medicines, injections, all of these things in terms of healthcare so that us, the humans, would be healthy. But to conclude my piece, I would say that humans play a very important role, a major role in biodiversity loss because of the way we treat the environment and the earth. So I will now pass you on to my colleague to continue with our documentary. Thank you.
Some recommendations to mitigate loss of biodiversity are as follows. Government restrictions and policies. In order to mitigate the problem of loss of biodiversity, governments are responsible to provide a framework that protects the natural variety of plants and animals. Human greed is endless. Thus, this will not work without penalizing behavior which threatens the loss in biodiversity. Education. We also have to educate persons on how important preservation of biodiversity is for the planet as well as for humanity. This education on biodiversity should start quite early, probably in the early school age, so that children are already of this issue quite early and can adapt their behavior into adulthood. Another related topic is the protection of habitats. Since the human population increases, we need more settlement space and space to raise crops and cattle. However, this leads to the destruction of natural habitats of many plants and animals. We have to protect those habitats since if they are disrupted, these animals and plants are likely to be endangered from extinction or even go extinct. Ending deforestation. About 90% of all species on our planet live in tropical rainforests. Thus, deforestation is a huge problem for the variety of species. If we lose these forests, we will also lose many species, which will have negative chain effects on the entire planet. We also have to prevent overfishing and overhunting. Since populations of many animals decline at an alarming rate, we should protect them by setting strict hunting and fishing limits. Thus, we can make sure that populations are able to reproduce and are not becoming endangered of extinction. Actions taken by Trinidad and Tobago. The government of Trinidad and Tobago produced its National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan in 2021. This plan identified a number of strategies for improved biodiversity conservation in the categories such as education and awareness, legislation and enforcement, institution and capacity, information and research, and also policy and commitment. Initiatives that are being implemented to conserve biodiversity in Trinidad and Tobago include the National Reforestation and Watershed Rehabilitation Program. This 10-year program identified 72 sites throughout Trinidad and Tobago for reforestation and watershed rehabilitation. Trinidad and Tobago implemented management plans for environmentally sensitive areas and species. These plans aimed to declare 10 environmentally sensitive species and to develop and implement management plans for them. Additionally, the Environmental Management Authority will make biodiversity a part of holistic community programs, emphasizing linkages between community activities and the environment. Other measures to restore degraded ecosystems and promote the recovery of threatened species include the McCaw Project, the no-net loss policy for forest replanting, and a cap on the number of fishing trawlers allowed. In conclusion, the loss of biodiversity can be caused by natural phenomena. However, the biggest effects come from human intervention with nature. The loss of biodiversity causes severe adverse effects on our whole environment system, including humanity. It is therefore crucial to take the steps necessary in order to prevent a loss in biodiversity and thus to ensure a livable future for ourselves, our animals and plant species.